So all of us very willingly, unwillingly got on, but destination unknown. And as it turns out, from Washington, we went all the way through Oregon, down to California, and we ended up in a place called Pinedale, which is close to Fresno. And then they dumped us off. And I don't know how they decided who was going to go where, but our family was fortunate in that our floor was concrete. And some people who were from Snoqualmie Falls ended up way out there, and then their floor was of tar. And so when it got hot, then of course asphalt got hot too. So if you sat on the bed, then the bed would sink, say maybe half an inch or so. And then the next day it got hot again, and you sat on the bed, it go down another half an inch. So my girlfriend said, you dare not drop anything, because once the tar got on that, it was hard to get rid of. So my friend was very unhappy with her situation. But like I said, we had concrete floor, so when it got hot, somehow my father was able to get a bucket somewhere. And so my job to go get water in the bucket and bring it back. And then in the meantime, he lifted everything off the floor. And so I threw the water on the floor, and then swept the water out from the inside. And then that way it cooled up the unit where we were staying. So that was our air conditioning. In camp, we had to share showers and sinks, community and all that, and even laundries we had to share. So it was a different way of living for a lot of people, because there was no privacy. Oh yeah, that's why, especially when we women had our monthly situation, why it was very difficult, And so I would get up early in the morning, especially, and then because we didn't have any privacy, if you got up early enough, there wasn't that many people, so it was okay. But if you got up when everybody did, boy, sometimes you had to wait in line to use the facility, So in fact, in Pinedale, there again we had outhouse too, but they built an outhouse, but it was made of slats, and it came about maybe about 5 feet. They stacked up the wood like a fence around this thing, and then the next top part was just wire screen. And then of course the holes were about 4, and then 4 on each side, and that was it. And so there was no privacy for a woman. And it was, in fact, there was one incident where a guy somehow got a pad, and he was just, and I finally got angry. She said, "You guys don't know what it is to go through it every month, Give us a break here, don't be so cruel." I was really upset with this one young man. And I think I embarrassed him more. And after that, nothing happened. But it's really upsetting that there are not people who really didn't understand the situation, And there was no door for the bathroom, the toilets either. So you had sometimes you have to ask someone to just stand by the doorway and then be a screen or something, because I was the only girl. My father got orange crates because he worked for the hospital, and he wasn't a cook per se, but he helped in the kitchen. So all the discards of the woods or the cardboard boxes he would bring home, and then he made me walls so that I would have little privacy. So yeah, oh gee, no sooner I cleaned the floor and everything, Then the dust storm, and they just came into the windows went out, so the cracks on the side, not shut tight, so the sand would get in some way. Or if you had a knot hole on one of the wood that was the part of the wall, the sand came through that too. So so before you go to bed, you had to make sure that the top blanket didn't have any sand. Otherwise, you'd get that on their sheet and you'd be sleeping on sand. So we had to adjust there too. When I did my laundry, the whole block knew that there goes the Tanaka lady. I mean, and that was my ritual that I did. And if I wanted some starch on, say, my father's shirt or something, then there was a table that had rolled rice, and I would take a bunch of the rice, put it into a flour sack, and then get warm water, and then I squish the rice down to get the liquid, and then that would be my starch for my father's shirt collar. Father made a laundry line for me on the outside of my barrack there. In the wintertime, the sheets would be just stiff as a roll. I had to bring the sheets inside the barrack and drape it all over the place. The only thing I knew was that every so often they showed movies and the fire break, and I heard about that. So I know that I took my own. We all had to take our own chair, and then in the fire break, and they would have this different movies, and I would tell my folks that I was going to go to see the movie, and they let me go. But that was about the only entertainment I had. I never got to dance or anything. And all these bands and orchestras that they had, I think everyone kind of made do to make things a little bit more comfortable for ourselves in our one room so-called apartment. It wasn't an apartment, it was just one room. And people who were used to living in a house per se and had all the comforts, and then all of a sudden to have to live in the barrack and then share everything, I'm sure it was difficult for people like that. But I grew up like differently, so my adjustment wasn't quite that bad. We managed, but when people say we had a good in camp, they got another thing coming. We try to make it livable.